ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you?
It's time to flip a coin and find out.
Well, we need to know what we're calling for here.
We're calling it to see who's got the best sports knowledge here on the Coin Flip with Martin Kelly
and Jacob Zimmerman.
Flip it again. Week 18 is here in the National Football League. Your favorite podcast duo, Jacob Zimmerman and Martin Kelly, back here on the Coin Flip podcast for another week of predicting games in the NFL. Of course, last week we didn't get to it. Week 17, RIP, holiday season, made things difficult. But we are back here to complete the season. Martin, we won't spend too much time here going over the previous weeks. We have a highly anticipated Week 18 coming up with a lot of key matchups. Who's going to get in? Who's going to go home sad or maybe happy to Cancun? You never know. But Martin, looking at our overall records, I may have just about iced it in Week 16, going 10-6. You went 7-9. I get one of my first wins in quite a long time here. But due to a strong start to the season, I am 143-97 on our outright moneyline selections throughout the year. You are 137-103 heading into Week 18. Martin, what are these teams playing for? Well, here is the playoff picture for both sides if you need to be caught up. Week 18 in the AFC, the Ravens have clinched the 1 seed. The Dolphins have a 100% chance to get in. The Chiefs have a 100% chance to get in. The Browns have a 100% chance to get in. And the teams who have locked it up are going to be taking this week off with a lot of their starters. But the Bills have a strong chance. The Colts, the Texans, the Steelers all have about a 50-50 shot, and the Jags somewhere in between there. Over to the NFC. 49ers have the 1 seed locked up. Cowboys are good. Lions are good. Eagles are good. Rams are actually good as well. But the Packers and the Bucs still playing for that absolutely heated NFC South that's coming down to the wire. The Saints still have a shot. The Falcons have an outside shot. The Vikings, everything could go right. Maybe they could get in. Seahawks, list goes on and on. Martin Kelly, how are you doing? Are you ready for our final week, our last regular season Coin Flip podcast selection video?
I am ready for it, and I'm excited for it. Week 18 in the NFL is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see who gets in, who gets left out. Yeah, let's do it, baby. Let's get into this last final week.
The end of the NFL season can be kind of tough, Martin, for your fan base, for my fan base over the last couple of years. A lot of times by the end of the regular season, you're just ready for it to be done. And that is not the case with this podcast. We plan on doing some playoff predictions if possible. Life's about to change a lot for me. But Martin, Week 18, Steelers and Ravens. Let's kick it off. No Lamar. He seems to have the MVP as a wrap. Therefore, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-point favorites on the road.
This will be interesting. Obviously, the Steelers done pretty well with Mason Rudolph on their quarterback. They had the big game over the Christmas break. Mason Rudolph threw for a bunch of yards against the Bengals and pulled off a great win in that week. The Ravens, they're riding high, number 1 seed. They locked it all up, beating the Niners. Even with the backup, give me Ravens. This defense is completely and totally sufferable, diminishing, plays a lot of mind games. I mean, they made Brock Purdy look like a 7th-round draft pick, and it's not. That's a hard thing to do, especially with Kyle Shanahan's offense. Give me the Ravens at home. They're a strong team at home. Even with a backup, I still trust that they're going to be the better team versus the Steelers.
The Tomlin scenario with him making at least 500, a record of at least 500 or making the playoffs pretty much almost every season he's been a coach of the Steelers has been incredible. And kind of over the last 2 weeks, just when you thought the Steelers were a train wreck, they go above 500. And Martin, they have a shot to get into the playoffs here. This is tough because, on one hand, you could look at it and say, well, Lamar's out. A lot of the starters are going to be, taking multiple quarters, if not the entire game off. but this is John Harbaugh, who kind of is known for this physical style, for this, I'm going to, risk running my guys into the ground if it means squeaking out every last victory that they can. But I am going to go with Tomlin and the Steelers. They just a little bit more to play for. I think the Ravens mentally should be a little bit out of this one, even if that's kind of very atypical for them. But I'm going to go with Steel City. I think Tomlin has the capability to get these guys fired up for these kind of games, and I'm not expecting Tyler Huntley to play like a Pro Bowler that he may or may not have been named to, Martin. So I'm going to go with the Steelers here. I think they have a little bit of a spark here with the re-emergence of Mason Rudolph. On to the Texans and the Colts, Martino. Who you got?
I got in this game is I'm torn between this one real quick, Jacob. Is because the Colts are a decent team at home. They have pulled out most wins this season at home, and the Texans are not a terrible road team. Their last great road win was the 19-16 win against the Titans. Prior to that, they have lost. They've lost a game at home. They won a game at home. So this is a game against the Colts, and the last game against the Colts, they pulled that win off at the Texans. So the Colts are an interesting team. I'm gonna go with the Texans. I'm gonna go with, I believe, the front runner for the Rookie of the Year, C.J. Stroud. He has pulled off an amazing season this year. I'll take the Texans on the road for the division win. They need the Jags to lose. But I have faith the Texans are going to pull this one off. Give me Houston.
Well, Martin, I'm not exactly sure what you just said, but I am going to... this is tough, because AFC South, classic showdown. The C.J. Stroud injury, I feel like may have disrupted some of his rhythm just a little bit. The Colts, however, I have kind of picked against all season, Martin, and I feel like in this pick, the last pick of the season, I've just been doubting Gardner Minshew. I feel like the entire year, if you've heard our podcast week in, week out, I've had difficulty picking these Colts games, so I'm just going to go with Indianapolis, Martin. I'm okay with taking the loss if the Texans win on this one. Minshew's been a really nice story. There should be, I think this year in the NFL, should spark a new award, Martin, and it should go to the best backup quarterback that had to come in mid-season or early season, and they have continued to lead the ship in the right direction. Now, that would go to Joe Flacco, but Gardner Minshew would probably be top 3 in that voting. So shout out to Minshew. I'm going to ride with the Colts because of that. The Bucs and the Panthers... the Buccaneers looks like they could get in with a win, if I'm correct, but the Panthers trying to play spoiler like they sometimes can. Martin, Tampa Bay, -4.5. Who you got?
Yeah, this one is interesting because Mayfield's dealing with a rib injury game, so there's a possibility that it's just going to be questionable going into the game. I have no doubt if he toughens up, and he's a tough kid, that he's going to want to play this weekend. The last time these two teams played, that was at Tampa, and if you remember that game, Jacob, it was a slow start. It was like nothing through like 2 quarters, and then it was like 10-3, and then finally points came on the board. It ended up 21-18, I believe. I could be wrong about that final score, but the point is, this is going to be a slow, sluggish offensive game between both of these teams. Obviously David Tepper throwing the shot glass on the fan after the loss. It's not a good look. $300,000 goes towards the NFL charity in that one. I'm going to take the Buccaneers at home. They've been a really good team at home. I know it's the last week of the season, but they need to play for the division this week in the NFC Livestock division. So as much as I think the Panthers could pull off an upset, I don't think they will. Give me the Buccaneers.
Yeah, Baker should be very thrilled to play in this game because not only can he win the division, Martin, he can win the division sticking it to Carolina to kind of say, you guys blamed me for your issue. Even though you fired your coach as well, you blamed me for your quarterback problems, and look what I just did across the division down there in Tampa Bay. In Tom Brady's funeral grave, Martin, he has found a way to get this team back into the playoffs. You can book this one. The Bucs are taking it, even with Baker Mayfield out there throwing with his opposite hand, might have a better chance than the Carolina Panthers do outright. Martin, the Packers game really gave me hope for Bryce Young's future. 23 of 36, 312. I think that was the first time he went over 300 yards all season, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But then, you bounce right back the next week to the Jaguars, and you just get absolutely shut out in a game that doesn't really make sense. C.J. Beathard was at quarterback for the Jaguars in that game. So, yeah, the Panthers, you mentioned it, David Tepper. I mean, what do you need to say, man? What do you need to say? Tepper, sell the team, start the Pistons chant, boys. We need some of those Detroit faithful fans to show up in Charlotte, because I don't know if we're going to pack the stands enough to get a chant that loud in, I think it's Bank of America Stadium still, if I am correct from my childhood. Anyways, Martin, I got the Buccaneers Baker winning this one. I'm not regretting us getting rid of Baker. We needed to do it for the sake of our franchise, to find a guy who could be the guy one day. But the Bucs and Baker can celebrate here in Week 18. On to our next selection, Martin. It is the Browns and the Bengals. The Browns have locked up what they needed to lock up, so there's no Joe Flacco in this one. And there's no Joe Burrow. So the Joe Cools are out.
Yeah, Jake Browning versus DTR, and from the couple starts we saw with DTR and the struggle, throwing the football was something that he was struggling with. He not have really great games. It's the main reason why they went out and got Joe Flacco. Jake Browning, been a good kid, had a couple good games, but the Pittsburgh Steelers game proved that he is a fraud and just a decent backup. I want to take the Bengals on the road because it would be a strong win for them, but I'm going to take the Browns at home. That defense is, again, something that I think is impossible to get past that very easily. I know there's a possibility that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins play this weekend, but if DTR has Amari Cooper, as long as he has a strong defense and a comparable running game, the Browns will pull off this home win. They'll win 11 games, and we keep talking about it real quick, Jacob, but I don't remember the last time. It's never happened in our lifetime that we've seen the Lions and Browns go double-digit wins on an entire season. So we're looking at history, man.
Great point there, Martin. I mean, you also forgot you could even throw the Bengals into that mix of teams that for the majority of our lifetime, of our teen life, have been just atrocious. And yeah, those two, and I would include the Bengals as well, have come out of nowhere. So I believe you're taking the Bengals, if I heard you correct. I'm going to
taking the Browns.
You're taking the Browns? All right.
Yes. Browns at home. Sorry, I apologize.
Bengals, Martin. They're a 7-point favorite, and I'm going to trust that. I think the Browns can take this one off. They're a physical team. Cincinnati's also kind of checked out as well. But I don't think Browning is. I think Browning recognizes the situation he is at, where, there was a quarterback, he's slipping my mind right now, but he signed with the Seahawks, Matt Flynn. Yeah, he was the quarterback who had a great end of the season for Green Bay, I believe, and then he got a fat contract somewhere else. Now, Browning may or may not be able to land a starting quarterback position next year, but this is certainly going to raise his stock. And if you can keep adding to those 300-yard category games, who knows? Maybe you will be one of the 32 quarterbacks to kick off 2024. Martin, the Vikings and the Lions. Do the Lions have anything to play for? Martin, do the Vikings have a shot to get into the postseason? What happens here?
Do the Lions have something to play for? Yeah, they do have something to play for, because we've talked about this with the Eagles. It's the wrong time to go down the hill, and the Lions, Yeah, we all can talk about the Cowboy result. They got screwed, and the referees messed it up, and communication broke down, and the Lions should have walked out with a win in Dallas. It did not happen. The Lions need to prove that they're not a regular season fluke, that the division was something very easy for them to win, that they had to go out and prove that they were a great team. This is a game that they need to win against the Vikings. A great game a couple weeks ago in Minnesota. Nick Mullins trying to come back, but at the end of the day, I just again I gotta go with. I'm gonna go with the Lions in this one. The favorite. I'm sticking with the favorite here because they need to win this game. This is a must-win game. Yes, they're going to the playoffs. Yes, they got the wild card and all that, but they need a win to prove that their momentum is going in the right direction. Otherwise, they're going to be one of those teams that you bet on the road team to beat the Lions on the wild card weekend, and I would not be surprised if I did that too, because I just need the Lions to prove that they're not a regular season wonder. I need them to prove that they're legit.
Well, I think the Lions are in a tough spot here. I almost feel like, the expectations now have kind of become slightly unrealistic. Nobody's expecting the Lions to go to the Super Bowl still. Nobody's counting on the Lions. No one's going to be calling for Dan Campbell's job if the Lions don't make the playoffs. There are some flat-out better teams right now. The Cowboys are I think you could argue, are a better team. They should beat the Lions. If the Lions beat the Cowboys in the postseason, all credit to the Lions, all credit to Detroit. Same thing with San Francisco. I don't think they're quite, to that level either. But if the Lions, make it to, how great would it be if the Lions make it back to the NFC Championship game before the Dallas Cowboys? That would be a great story. But, Martin, I'm going to go with the Lions as well up there in Detroit. Goff is at home in the Dome. He's going to get it done. They'll probably cover the spread as well. They've been one of the best teams ATS all season long and last year. So, yeah, the Vikings. They don't have much to play for. I think, they recognize that they could make the postseason. But, if they make the postseason, Martin, they're going to get bounced. They're going to get destroyed by multiple touchdowns, guaranteed. And maybe that's in the back of the players' minds. Who knows? Jets and Patriots. 2 4-letter squads going at it. If you shorten the Pats down to the Pats. So, Martin, New England -2 in a absolute stink fest. I don't know what these teams would be playing for. Maybe just Bill Belichick's pride at this point, right?
Yeah, Bill Belichick's pride at this point. Can let him walk out with his final career win. Also point to 100% that this is the very final game for Bill Belichick as a New England Patriot. 24 years he's been with that team, and that's a pretty remarkable career of legacies left behind. We could talk about that all day, but Zach Wilson's not playing in this game. The Jets defense is tired. They're tired of bailing this team out. The Jets offense let Dalvin Cook go for no particular reason. I don't understand that one. The Patriots are still an ugly team. Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones, Ezekiel Elliott. It's just a complete and total group of nobodies at this point in the NFL. Give me the Patriots because they're at home, and I would like to see the evil sweater man get one last win with the Patriots, a team that he has beloved and treated like no other because he's Bill Belichick. So give me the Pats at home. The Jets are done. Let their plane crash somewhere else in the middle of the river and let us forget about them forever and ever.
Well, I won't be that brutal, Martin, but I'm going to go with the Patriots as well. Maybe a goodbye and good riddance to Bill. I think Bill Belichick, if you look around the media, if you have your ears peeled, I'd say 75% plus of the discourse around Bill Belichick is that he has, came to an end. He's not quite with it coaching-wise anymore. He's definitely not with it GM-wise anymore. Don't get him anywhere near a draft board, Martino. Taking 2 kickers is ridiculous in one draft. Nevertheless, I think we got to, I'm going to take the time here in this little short window to say, look at all these other coaches of dynasties, Martin. these coaches don't often just get to ride out into the sunset. So being able to see Bill Belichick as a human is just a very interesting way to see the game of football, because we haven't really seen that point of view for quite a long time. So Bill Belichick, likely a head coach or a D coordinator, probably best suited D coordinator on a contending team or rebuilding head coach team next season. So that is the Patriots. I'm rolling with them. I think Bill Belichick sticks it to the Jets one more time. I don't think there's any motivation going around there with Aaron Rodgers not coming back for week 17 or 18. So, Jets are going to do what they've done all season and just kind of recognize, we don't have a chance in this game with no quarterback. We're going to roll over and die. Falcons and Saints. This one could decide the division, I believe, if the Buccaneers lose. Martin, two mid-teams going at it with two very disappointing quarterback situations.
Yeah, the NFC laughingstock division of the NFL has been a complete and total laughingstock of a division this year. I mean, what can you say? Saints, Falcons. Falcons looked like nothing against the Bears. The Saints were the Saints. Saints have been good at home. Falcons have been terrible on the road. Give me the Saints just because, why not? If this is Derek Carr's final game as a Saint, I think a lot of Saints fans would be happy about that. They would honestly be like, can you take Dennis Allen with you as well? We'd be more than happy to let that one go as well. And this, show them the door, because what a season it has been. Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara deserve better than this. Yeah, give me the Saints just because they're at home, and the Falcons don't know what to do with their 2 stars or 3 stars or whoever else a star is on that team. So let's see how bad the game is going to be on Sunday.
Looking at the DraftKings websites for starting quarterbacks. By the way, it's Driscoll for Cleveland. Martino, looks like Heineke is potentially going to be injured. It's not decided yet on Friday, but Ritter is also a shot to go. And of course, Derek Carr for the Saints. He has survived his rough concussions from earlier this season. Martin, the Falcons and the Saints, almost to me, represent kind of the same team. Similar records against the spread. New Orleans is 5-10-1. Atlanta's 5-11. And they're second and third last in league to Carolina. So not only, is the division bad, against the spread, 3 out of the 4 teams are the worst in the NFL. Martin, I am going to go with the Saints here. Believe it or not, I think the Saints have a little bit more stability than the Falcons do right now. I think Arthur Smith's hot seat is a little bit hotter. Yeah, I think the Saints are going to get it done. This is Saints at home. Arguably, there's a shot that it is potentially for the division. A 29% chance for the Saints. 48 if they win. Falcons, even less of a shot. They're 7-9. An 8-win team winning the division would be wild. But Martin, I'm going to go with the Saints here. We're both going to go 2 for 2 on the Saints this week, I hope, in our predictions. On to Jags and Titans. Martin, the Jags have kind of really been struggling over the last half of the season. But Mike Vrabel has, arguably been even more frustrated. So, looks like he's going to be coaching his last game potentially as a Titan if they don't get things figured out in the offseason. So, in kind of a messy game where the Jags could win and get in, do they?
It's a real good question. Ryan Tannehill is playing. That has been confirmed. This will be possibly his final game with the Titans after apparently going to one playoff series deserves a contract extension. How much the Titans have regrettably regretted that decision. I wish they would just send Willis out there and just see what the kid had, because Will Levis is a better player than Ryan Tannehill at both of these points in their careers, even though Will Levis just started. Though it'll be Ryan Tannehill, and because of that, even with Trevor Lawrence's, they call it a sprained ankle, but it's more broken than sprained. There's a severe bothering issue with Trevor Lawrence and that ankle. Can't do anything. I mean, the game against the Buccaneers said everything, that Trevor is seriously hurt. Even with that, I will take the Jags in this one because they're just the better roster. Honestly, they're the better team. I know Tennessee has Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, and a good, strong defense, but as long as Jacksonville doesn't turn the ball over, and as long as they can find a way to run the ball, they can win this game. Give me the Jags on the road.
A lot of times in this situation, there would be not a lot to play for the Tennessee Titans, Martin, but I think playing spoiler is going to be a key motivation factor. I really think that Mike Vrabel is going to be able to reach the depths of his players' souls, just saying, we hate those damn Jacksonville Jags, and we're not going to let them get in, and we're going to spoil their season. And Martin, that's exactly what's going to happen. The Tennessee Titans are going to pull off the stunner, and the Jags, who, shocked everybody by making the postseason last year. I am now off the Jags bandwagon. Beginning of the season, I was really high on the Jags and Trevor Lawrence. They simply let me down. It's time to get on the right side of the trend. I'm taking the Titans in a Mike Vrabel, perhaps FU game to the ownership. The Jags are looking shaky, Martin. I am not liking how the Jags are looking at all. I don't care if you stomp out Carolina. It's not nice to pick on younger children. So that's my pick, the Tennessee Titans. On to the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Division battles all across the Week 18 slate. We move on to the Seahawks Cards. Arizona is an underdog at home here.
Yeah, they are an underdog at home. So the reason why this is going to be my underdog upset of the week is because the last time these two teams played, Jacob, and yes, I said the Cardinals are going to beat the Seahawks. The reason why I say that is the last time these two teams met, minus a Kyler Murray, Josh Dobbs kept Arizona in the game versus Seattle, and it was a really good back and forth game. It ended in like a 19-17 final for Seattle. I think the Cardinals at home, with the Seahawks playing for nothing but just pride and jobs, will come back to bite them in the butt. The Cardinals are a better team than we think. The upset win over the Eagles, the close game against the Bears, prove that they're not a great team, but they're not a terrible team either. Give me the Cardinals. Give me the upset. They're at home. They've already pulled off one upset at home versus Dallas, and they'll pull off another one against Seattle.
So you're rolling with the Cardinals. I'm going to roll with the Cardinals as well, Martin. I think, the Seahawks, looking at their shots here to get into the postseason. 25% chance, 41 if they win. So they're going to need some help, Martin. And I think they're not even going to be able to pull this one out. Once again, like I said earlier, divisional dogfight. The Cardinals not only can stick it to the Seahawks here, Martin, but I remember at the beginning of the season, the line for the Cardinals was 4.5, Martin. So we have come down to the ultimate moment of truth game for the Arizona Cardinals in the over-under regular season total of 4.5. There for Arizona, Martin, they could win and hit the over, lose and hit the under. Martin, I think they win and cover. I think it's a sneaky bet that some people are going to hit this year. Pete Carroll in this kind of spot, who knows? Both these teams have actually beat the Eagles in the last 3 weeks. But I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think they're trending in the right direction. I think they have something to really play for. Kyler Murray has been a great story for them. I think there's kind of a little bit of rejuvenation into this locker room late in the year, like we sometimes see with these teams that we expect to go 0-17. Bears and Packers. Green Bay is a field goal favorite, Martin. And like I said with the over-under, I took the under on the Bears. It looked like an absolute lock. They've stormed all the way back. Martin, if they win this week, they'll cover the 7.5, and I'll just be absolutely flabbergasted. Are they going to beat the Packers?
Of course they're going to be the Packers. You know I'm not doing that ever in my life. I would never pick the Southern Canada Packers. I wish Southern Canada would claim its portion of a new portion of their country, because it's annoying to have these guys still. Got a injury report here in front of my face. A.J. Dillon is out for the Packers and is also Ford. Isaiah McDuffie is doubtful. Watson, Jenkins, Musgrave, Wicks, Smith, Reed, and Tanua are all questionable for the game against the Bears, which just simply means Justin Fields is going to go out and have an amazing game. Just like DJ Moore said a few weeks ago, we have something ready for these Southern Canada Packers. God, I can't wait until we beat them this week. Jordan Love is a fraud. He went up against an average defense against Minnesota. They have not had a actual considerable great win this year, minus their win over the Detroit Lions. That's their only great win this year. So I can't wait to knock the Southern Canadian Packers out of the playoffs. The Bears are on the rise. They've given me new hope. I believe in them. Is the guy. But just, I can't wait to watch Southern Canada Packers fans cry. It's going to make my day. It's going to make my year. This is my Super Bowl. This is my New Year's Day. This is one of the greatest days in sports history for me. Go Bears, go. We're going to win.
Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. The Packers are going to win again, Martin. The Packers are getting it done over your Chicago Bears. I will not know what to do with my life if the Bears storm back to hit this over. I mean, ridiculous. They've won 4 out of their last 5. They lost to Cleveland, but they beat some team. 3 out of the 4 wins are going to be against teams that don't make the postseason. The Packers have won their last 2. Beating Carolina and the Vikings is nothing to really show for. But Martin, Jordan Love has had a better season than Justin Fields. He just has. I mean, more than 1,300 passing yards in favor of Jordan Love. Almost double the passing touchdowns for Jordan Love, with just 2 more interceptions. So, Justin Fields missing some time. Justin Fields, playing arguably for his job right now. I think the Bears need to move on regardless of what Fields does and just secure Caleb Williams or perhaps Michael Penix Jr. with the number 1 pick. So I'm going to go with Canada. Martin's, of course, Southern Canada joke about the Green Bay Packers to get it done over the Chicago Bears. Martin, on to the Chiefs and the Chargers. Chiefs aren't playing for anything. I think my homeboy might be up there with Taylor Swift in the box. So we don't know who's going to be up there. Let's see. It's Easton Stick and Blaine Gabbert, Martin. Perhaps Blaine Gabbert will need to come in and save the Chiefs in the postseason at some point. But for now, he gets a shot in the regular season in a meaningless game.
Yeah, he does get a shot in a meaningless game, and he's going to pull off the upset in the meaningless game. You heard that right. For as much as everyone wants to dog on the Chiefs as, well, their time has come, they're no longer going to be the top team anymore. For the first time in 6 years, the AFC Championship game will not go through Kansas City. It will go through a new city for the first time ever. As much as that's something I'm dogging with as well, I'm going to take the Chargers only because what they did against the Bills showed me a lot about this new head coach. Their interim head coach can get this team to rally, can get this team in the right position, and they just came up so close against those, so close, and the Chiefs are done. They have no offense. Their defense is dried up. They just don't have any momentum. The Raiders win over the Chiefs was not a fluke. That was legit. And the Chargers are going to pull off the upset. Give me the LA Chargers on the road.
Yeah, Martin going to change his pick, mid-prediction, and it's the right one. Chargers -3.5 is going to be my spread lock of the week, Martin. I think this is really going to be a game where we see the value of Patrick Mahomes on full display because he's going to be on the sideline and not in the game. And things are not going to go well for the Chiefs in this game. I'd be pretty surprised if they manage to score 20 points in this ball game. I think the Chargers, like you said, the interim coach, they have more to play for. They should have more starters out. Just more hope for the future, I guess, for the Chargers. Herbert's not showing up. Mahomes isn't showing up. You cancel out the quarterbacks. You almost cancel out the coaching in this kind of ball game. And I think we're really going to see the flaws with some of this Chiefs team. I mean, who in the world is going to catch Blaine Gabbert's pass onto the Broncos and the Raiders in Las Vegas, Martin, not too far away from where we went to school in St. George. Broncos. Sean Payton perhaps playing for pride here. Is Max Crosby trying to play for pride here, Martin? Who gets it done?
Well, Broncos and Raiders. If Broncos would have done another last week, if they would have not pulled up a big 2-minute drive the week before and allowed the New England Patriots to get away with a win in Denver, this game would be for the division. But then again, shoots themselves in the foot. Maybe Walmart can do something about that and make sure that they don't do that again. They'll have the win over the weekend over the Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders are fun, but when the Broncos have a solid offense, they're a good team. They have a solid offense. Last week, yes, they beat the Chargers, but that was on the road. The Chargers are better at home than they are on the road. Give me the Broncos on the road. They're playing for nothing, but at this point, Sean Payton needs anything to solidify that he's somehow a great head coach when he's had more than 9 seasons than actually winning seasons. Go look it up, kids. It's true.
Well, Martin, I think I don't think there's many active coaches can say they've won a Super Bowl, let alone active coaches can say that they have knocked off a top 3 quarterback of all time in a Super Bowl. But he is a former Saints coach, so I won't give him too much credit. But in this kind of game, Martin, I think you took the Broncos. I'm going to be taking the Raiders. I'm going to take the Raiders. I think those boys are looking to smoke them, if you know what I mean. They're going to light them up. So I'm going to go with Las Vegas in their home Allegiant Stadium. It's pretty nice. I recommend you go there. I'm going to take them. I think the Broncos have checked out. They're no longer in contention. I think Russell Wilson and Sean Payton being on the same sideline is just not going to be good vibes, even on their week off. So I'm going to go with LV. On to the Eagles and the Giants. Philly minus 5.5. They're playing Tyrod, or maybe it's now Tyrod Taylor. But Jalen Hurts is a go with the sore knee.
Yeah, he is. Even with that, I do not believe that the Eagles will blow this at all. Their defense sucks. That's what you get when you hire Matt Patricia. They don't have Gardner Johnson, a strong safety that was really good for them last year. They don't have TJ Edwards on that side of the ball either. That's just something they miss a lot. They don't have a strong pass rushing this year. Hassan Reddick has been completely off his game. Offensively, they're stagnant. And this is what you get when you don't pay your offensive coordinator to stay in Philadelphia and he goes to Arizona and then he comes back to kick your butt. I'm still going to take the Eagles. I know there's a possibility that they could lose this game and the Cowboys could somehow win the division. That would be a starstruck move from going from number 1 seed to go on the road in the wild card round for the Eagles. That's a heck of a change. But nonetheless, I'm going to take the Eagles at home versus the Giants. There's no way Tommy Cutlass, Tommy DeVito, Tyrod Taylor, whoever's quarterback can pull off this upset. Give me the Eagles, and I know it's a bad pick, but still, I have to believe the Eagles can fly away from disaster and win something.
You're taking Philly. I'm going to take the Giants in this one, Martin. I'm definitely liking Giants cover that 5.5, even more than the money line. you have no reason to have this kind of confidence in the Eagles, Martin. I get it; they're 11-5, but they are 1-4 in the last 5 weeks. This team has lost it. I think there's an issue that's continued to brew with the personalities here. Jalen Hurts is not having the season that he hoped for. The kind of the regression, the inevitable regression of a quarterback who kind of has a season where he sparks and gets to the Super Bowl, and then he never makes it back. And that's kind of been the trend for a lot of these NFC teams. I'm not saying the Eagles can never make it back, but right now it's not looking like it. The Giants have won more games in the last 5 weeks. I'm just saying that. So I'm going to go with Tyrod Taylor. Martin, I think Tyrod Taylor is probably better than Tommy DeVito. I think he's proved that. And I think the Giants are, they recognize the Eagles are wounded. And this is a heated rivalry. This is a better rivalry than all the other rivalries we've probably talked about here on the week so far, as opposed to historical, precedents, how competitive these teams are year in and out, it seems. I'm going to go with the Giants here. They recognize that they can beat up on the Eagles when they're not going to have too many times to do that passer of the foreseeable future if Hurts gets back to 100%. On to the Rams and the Niners, where both teams have clinched. I imagine the Niners should sit just about everybody, and the Rams will sit a good amount of players as well. Although Puka has a chance to break a long-time rookie receiving record. I'm not sure how that has not been broken yet. But, yes, Rams, 49ers. Martin, who do you got?
Yeah, Rams, 49ers. Rams, it's going to be Carson Wentz. 49ers, I forget who the backup is. Oh, Sam Darnold. So, former Jet quarterback versus a former Eagles quarterback. We'll see what happens with this one. Former second overall pick as well. Going to go up against each other in this game. I mean, that's a tough one there. Give me another upset pick. Give me the Rams. Why not? Give me the Rams over the Niners. If this is a week that the Niners just sit out and have a good old time, I think they'll do the same thing with their defense. The Rams are playing for something. Puka Nacua is playing for something. Kyren Williams will be in the backfield, number 23. I don't think Cooper Kupp will be out there, but nonetheless, Puka Nacua will break the rookie record. That's going to be a great thing for him. It won't be enough to win Rookie of the Year. We all wish he could. Unfortunately, C.J. Stroud has had a better season. Nonetheless, it's really cool to watch Puka do this. Give me the Rams on the road. The Niners are just going to rest, and I believe that they'll be the losers. Give me the Rams.
You're going with the Rams. I'm going to go with the Niners here, Martin. I think Sean McVay is going to run a kindergarten offense out there. There's no point in risking giving up any, solid plays that you still haven't ran in your playbook more than once or twice throughout the entire season into the film room. You could look across and say, well, Kyle Shanahan, he's not going to want to run any, super neat plays. What about them? Well, if, kind of cancel out a lot of these starters, Martin. I think the Niners are a deeper team. I think their organization has been tougher from top to bottom. I have more faith in the backups of the Niners, who have been taking a beating from a lot of their starters all practice long, all season long. I'm going to go with the Niners here. I think those boys are probably a little bit hungrier than the nice weather LA Rams are, although it's California regardless of how you split it. On to the Cowboys and the Commies. Biggest spread of the week, Martin. No faith there for the Commanders in Washington.
Yeah, this will be the Cowboys' last win of the season. Yes, you heard me that right. I don't see them winning a playoff game. Just wait, Cowboys fans. You're just going to experience exactly what you experience every season. The Cowboys will win this one. It's not worth the conversation. Will come in a very, very great way on the road, but they're not winning a playoff game. Cowboys will win this final game of the season.
Yeah, Martin, Cowboys get it done. They're playing for 2 seed. I think if they're at home for their first playoff game, they will win that one. So I'm going to go with the boys here as well. Although I think in a kind of game like this, you can make the argument that the Commanders have absolutely nothing to lose, which is sometimes scary. And Dallas, perhaps back of their mind recognizes that, well, we are playing for a 2 seed, but at the same time, we're going into the playoffs anyway. And I mean, you never know. You never know out there. Sam Howell, I get it, Martin. He had his turnover issues all season long. But if you were to, this is kind of unfair. But if you were to remove the turnovers, which I know is a massive point of quarterback, Sam Howell is one of the best yard guys in the league. If he just goes out there with a little bit more confidence, maybe if the Cowboys are a little bit more lackadaisical, they could somehow pull it off. But I am just making something out of nothing here because the Cowboys are going to win this one. Bills and Dolphins, Martino. Bills and Dolphins, probably the most talked about game of the week, and it comes down to it under the bright lights on primetime. Bills perhaps will miss the playoffs. You never know what could go down with the Dolphins as well. Martin, who wins?
Yeah, this is going to be the game of the week besides the Bears and Packers game. Bills do have to play for a playoff spot. I can't believe for the first time in 4 years we got to talk about the Bills are possibly going to miss the playoffs. For the Dolphins, they're playing for something too. I get it. They're a fun team this year. Tyreek Hill's not going to be playing in this game. He was in a boot. He unfortunately had a fire accident at his home. But Jalen Waddle is going to be possibly out as well. So there are injuries too. Dolphins walking into this one. The Bills are the more healthy team walking into this game. The last time these two teams met in Buffalo, Buffalo won that game very easily in a very in a convincing way. And the last time it's just ugly sometimes when these two teams meet. It's unfortunate, but. To wrap it all up, give me the Bills on the road. Give me Buffalo. The Dolphins are hurt and injured. They're not going to be fully healthy. They need to get ready for the playoffs and not worry about this game.
With no pun or a pun intended, intentionally actually, this is a coin flip game, Martin. This is a coin flip game. There's a reason we call this the Coin Flip Podcast. We flip it up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen. You're rolling with the Bills. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins here, Martin. I'm just going to play devil's advocate from you. Looking at our season totals here, if I were to just have pick the same team with you in every game this week, I would have automatically clinched the season win. But I'm going to give you every last opportunity to come back and tie it up or beat me in the season by taking the Dolphins at home. You never know what's going to happen there with the Buffalo Bills. Too much drama. Anyway, Martin, that is Week 18 in the NFL, the Coin Flip Podcast. Jacob Zimmerman, Martin Kelly, putting 17 out of the 18 weeks into the books. Couldn't get the holiday week last week, but nevertheless bouncing back. We'll do some playoff coverage as much as we can. We'll start to discuss the NBA as well as it's heating up. So, Martin, any final thoughts on Week 18?
Week 18 is going to be fun. It's going to settle playoff spots. It's going to settle some rivalry talks between each other. At the end of the day, we're going to see who's going to be the very top and who's some of the better teams and who possibly are some of the worst teams going into next season. This is going to be a game to determine some of those teams as well. Yeah, let's see who's going to be in the playoffs. Let's see who's going to be out, and then we'll get the playoff conversation started, and that's going to be a fun one in a couple weeks, too.
It's been the Coin Flip Podcast. Leave a like on the video. Comment down below who your lock of the week is, what you're feeling about our picks, who's going to win this week, all that good stuff below. And, of course, hit the subscribe button for more content coming up in the future. That's it for us. Have a great one, boys. Happy Sunday coming up soon.
Peace.